Hello, everybody. I'm Amber Lopez. I am a certified life and weight coach, and I help people get to their desired weight through a different way by looking at our mind. Today, I want to talk about how to unlearn our over desire for food. Because over desire, as I talked about in another video, is the root cause for being at the weight that we're at. Before I dive into that, I want to share the winner from last week's video. And Darlene Jones, that's you. You won 6 weeks of one-on-one coaching, 30 minutes with me. So go ahead and send me an email, amberlopezcoaching@gmail.com, and send that to me by this Sunday, August 16th, 2020 at midnight, and we'll go ahead and find a time that works for us. Congratulations, I look forward to working with you. All right, so desire is learned. And I think that we've been taught that desire is just something that we have or we don't have for something. But it's learned, and that's good news, because if we can learn it, then we can unlearn it. And so over desire, like I said before, is the root cause for being at a higher weight that we want, being overweight. And so you may or may not have heard of the theorist Pavlov. And so Pavlov had these dogs, and every time he rang the bell, the dogs would come, and he would start giving them treats. And so then, since he was giving them treats, every time he rang the bell, immediately they would just start salivating, even though they hadn't seen the treats yet, because they knew that the treats were coming. Well, then he would ring the bell and he would stop giving them treats. And for a little while, they would continue to salivate. But then after a while, they realized the treats weren't coming and they would stop. And so that's exactly what we're going to be doing with our brain. So our thoughts are the bell. And you might have a thought of something like, I want that, I deserve that, that looks good, I have to have that. Whatever the thought is, that thought is your bell saying ding, ding, ding. And then we're rewarded by eating it. When we eat that food, that just intensifies our desire. But we can learn to recognize what thought it is that's causing us to eat, and then we can become aware of it and learn how to change it. So let's, before I dive into that, changing it, let's talk about a lot of times we decide to cut back on something, cut back on flour or sugar or whatever it is, eating less junk food and trying to eat healthier. But when we cut back without addressing the issue of over desire, it really just intensifies the desire. When we say we can't have that and we're just using willpower, it intensifies our desire, and then our willpower is finite, so it only lasts for a certain amount of time before we then give in and stop again. It's just like a beach ball. We're pushing that willpower down like it's a beach ball. We can't hold it down anymore. It just pops right back up, and we no longer are doing what we wanted to do. So unlearning over desire for food, I'm going to share with you a model that I use, and I use this with my weight loss clients. I use it with myself. It can be used on any problem that you have, but today we're going to focus on losing weight. So the model states that we have a circumstance, and our circumstances are anything outside of us, things that we have no control over, what people say, the weather. But for this circumstance, since we're talking about food and our desire for food, our circumstance, we're going to put 2 pieces of chocolate on the table. Now, if you don't have a desire for chocolate, remove chocolate, insert whatever it is that you have a desire for. So those 2 pieces of chocolate are on the table. Our circumstance triggers a thought. So the thought, like I mentioned before, could be something like, I want it, I deserve that, I need that, that looks delicious, I have to have it. Whatever the thought is for you, and it'd be really good for you to take the time of when there are foods that you desire to stop and pay attention to your brain. What is your brain telling you? The thought, such as I want it, creates our feeling. So when we think I want it, that's what creates our feeling of desire or over desire. Our feelings drive our actions. And so in this case, the over desire drives us to eat those 2 pieces of chocolate. Our actions are what create our results. And so because we ate it, the result that we're creating for ourselves is that we're rewarding the desire. We're intensifying the desire. We're not stopping the desire. And so I love this model because it shows us what our thoughts are creating for us, the results that they're creating, and then we get to decide, is it serving me? Is it not? Do I want to change it? Do I not? So these 2 pieces of chocolate on the table are really just ingredients. There are a bunch of ingredients. I don't know what's in chocolate besides sugar, but sugar and all the other ingredients are sitting there on the table. And we think because those pieces of chocolate or those ingredients are sitting on the table, that that's why we're feeling over desire, that that's why we're eating it. But it's not. What I want to show you is that it's because of our thought that I want it. That's when we think I want it. That's why we're feeling over desire. That's why we eat it. And the reason that I know this is because these 2 pieces of chocolate on the table, there could be two people standing at that same table, looking at those 2 pieces of chocolate, and they could be thinking 2 different things. So the one person's thinking, I want it, they have over desire. The second person is thinking, that's not on my plan for what I'm eating today. I'm not going to eat it. And so then they don't have the over desire. And so this is just to demonstrate to you that it's our thought of I want it that's creating the desire, not the 2 pieces of chocolate that are sitting on the table. But so why all this matters is just to show you that what the result is that we're creating for ourselves, that we're intensifying the desire. So then what do? We break the model. That's how we unlearn the over desire. So we take this same circumstance of the 2 pieces of chocolate on the table. We are thinking the same thought of, I want that. We're still feeling over desire, but this is where we break the model. And this, rather than eating it, we allow the urge. And I talked about this in the Stop Stress Eating video, but how we allow the urge is by noticing our feelings. So we're not using willpower, we're not resisting it, we're not fighting it. We do what I called it in the Stop Stress Eating was stop, drop, and breathe. So stop, drop into our bodies, name the feeling. In this case, it's over desire. It can also be helpful to notice the thought that's creating that, which could take some practice. But so once you recognize what the thought is, maybe it's I want it, something along those lines, and the feeling of over desire, then we can be on to ourselves and say, oh, I know what happens when I think I want it. When I think I want it, I feel over desire, I eat it, and then I continue this cycle and intensify my desire for it. So then what we do is we describe, what does over desire feel like? What does desire feel like in our body? And so for me, my glands get tingly here, and I feel like my body kind of leans forward, and my body feels hard. Like I just want that. And so for me, what it looks like when I have a desire for food is I just really try to relax my body, and as though I'm standing outside and just making an observation, as though I was looking at a marble and observing it and saying, oh, the marble is blue, the marble is round. That's how we make our observations. Oh, I feel a tingling sensation in my glands. My body feels tense. And just describing it helps to release that emotion or make it more manageable for us, because when we are fighting it, no, you shouldn't want it, you shouldn't feel that, and it just intensifies the emotion, which makes it much harder. This may sound silly, but something that I will do is I will just pretend that I am one of Pavlov's dogs, and I will just imagine that I'm allowing drool just to come down my face, and until I've just allowed the emotion. And this is something that we're not used to, that we're not taught. And so it might feel very funny, and it might take, several times to kind of even get into it. It might take, 20 times or more, but it's just like a baby learning to walk. They get up, they fall down. They get up, they fall down. But the more times that you get up and try it, the better you're going to be. It is simple, but it takes some time to learn it at first. You might notice it after the fact. So you might have already given in to eating the chocolate. Nothing has gone wrong. And then later you say, oh, I forgot to allow the feeling, to work on learning my undesire. And so in that moment, just try to think, go back in time, and what were you thinking, and what were you feeling, and try to describe that. And so it might be like that for a while. And then you'll start to do it in the moment as you're eating the chocolate of, oh, and you can stop right there and allow the feeling. Then it will start to become before or as you're in it. So you'll start to become so onto yourself that as soon as you feel the tingly glands, or as soon as you notice that you're thinking, I want it, you're onto yourself, and you can start the process of allowing the urge there. As I talked about in the Stop Overeating video, I would suggest to allow these urges 100 times. You can, your brain loves reward, so keeping track with a tally mark or a marble or something that you have 100 of would be very helpful. And then you can see how many times you have worked towards unlearning the desire. Now, for some people, 100 marbles or 100 allowed urges is worth 20 pounds. Also, if you do allow some urges, but then you give in, don't start over. Just start right where you left off. And that's what I have for you today. I would love to know who's on the other side of these videos. I know some of you have commented, so it's great to see who's watching. But let me know what you have an over desire for. And I look forward to the next video. Stay tuned for that. That one will be posted next Friday. See you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.